is Jenny, and I'm a wife and mom raising 2 kids. But I used to live a more glamorous life as a TV reporter. I was on the nightly news interviewing pop stars and politicians. So when I said goodbye to TV and hello to motherhood, I suddenly discovered what we moms are up against. We live in a world that tells us to be rich and famous, thin and successful. You know, almost nobody says, "Oh, hey, you're a mom? That's fabulous." But you are fabulous, and I'm here to tell you why.
It's the Channelmom Show, celebrating you with Jenny Dean Schmidt.
Alrighty, here we are. Welcome to the Channelmom Show, celebrating you, Mom. And I think we have a few dads listening to us today, too. We want to welcome them as well. My name is Jenny Dean Schmidt. I am your host and a mom myself. And I've got to wish happy birthday to our daughter, our precious daughter. But first, I do want to get to my commentary, and I'm going to tell you a little lesson that I believe came directly to me from God. And I know that some people freak out when you start doing the God talk, but I'm challenging you to stick around for this. It's not creepy. It's not scary. I'm not even going to make a prediction about the end of the world. We know how that goes. Those billboards had to come down awful quickly. That's not what I'm going to do. This past week, I was watching a show on TV called Life Today, hosted by James and Betty Robison. They were doing a story about 2 football teams in Texas. Now, even if you don't like football or you don't like Texas, and I know at least one person listening does.
Football in Texas is big.
Yes. I still think you're going to like this story. There is a place in Texas where they send the boys who've been in trouble. It's called the Gainesville State School. And yes, it's basically a maximum security prison for juveniles. Well, at this prison, they have an incentive program for the inmates. The boys are told that if they excel in their classes and follow strict rules during the week, they can play on the Gainesville State football team. And then on game days, they get to go on trips outside of the prison walls to play opponents in other cities. Every game for these incarcerated boys is an away game, as you might imagine. Now, the stands on the side of the Gainesville State Tornadoes are usually empty. They don't really have fans, and any scoring they do is met with silence in those stands. But that changed one night 3 years ago. The Gainesville State boys were scheduled to travel to Grapevine Faith Christian, a powerhouse in local Texas football. Grapevine's coach, Chris Hogan, had decided that he was going to treat this game differently in order to show the Gainesville boys that God loved them no matter what their history. So Hogan sent the word out and gathered hundreds of people from the Grapevine Faith community to come to the game and sit in the stands of the opponent, Gainesville State. Not only did hundreds of people show up to cheer on the boys from the prison, but they created a spirit line complete with a paper banner sign for the boys to break through. This large audience cheered for the boys who were used to hearing silence in their stands. Although they did score a few touchdowns, the Gainesville boys lost that game, but one boy said you could not have convinced them that they lost. They felt like true winners on that evening simply because of those people. And, you know, I kind of like the fact that Grapevine didn't just sit down and let them win. To me, that would have smacked of pity and humiliation, just sitting down and letting them roll over. But really what the Gainesville boys needed the most that night, they did get. And that was those cheers that were backed up by love. They'd never heard it. They had never heard that. And you should have seen these boys. They were jumping up and down on the sideline. Somebody said it was like they'd won the Super Bowl. Because it was amazing. These hardened boys who were in prison that was maximum security, so you can imagine the kinds of things they'd done, jumping up and down on the sidelines. Now, this is where God began to show me something. He showed me that I have failed to cheer on the moms who have more in common with the Gainesville State boys than they do with me. In fact, I want to blame the mothers of those Gainesville State boys for the fact that those boys are in prison at all. I have been loudly critical of moms who pay for drugs but leave their refrigerators empty. Or moms who go out to party on a Saturday night but cannot get up for church on Sunday morning. I've been equally critical of the moms who let their girls run around and wear certain kinds of clothing, or moms who let their boys text and date girls at age 10. I've been critical of mothers who work all day and are too exhausted to pay attention to their kids at night. So like most of the other football teams that played Gainesville State, I have refused to cheer on the moms who in one way or another are a little bit like the Gainesville State boys. I have thought to myself, how they're ruining their kids and dooming our society. I have quietly disdained them for failing their children while I am promoting my own. But you know what? I'm also guilty of failing, of keeping those moms in their own prisons and failing to help them get out. Maybe, just maybe, if I took a moment to ask one of them to come over to coffee, or God forbid, to ask one of them to go out for a glass of wine, maybe then I might offer her the hope and the feeling of winning as a mom. Instead of judging her for the ways in which she has failed her children, maybe I can encourage her to promote and to love her precious children simply by deciding to cheer her on. And that, in a nutshell, is what God showed me. It is time for me to sit in the stands of the struggling moms and cheer them on too. It's been pretty easy for me to cheer on the moms who look like me, the ones who are at church or at various mothering groups. It's been pretty easy for me to hand out Channel Mom flyers at King Soopers that are situated in nice neighborhoods. Now, while I still believe that the more acceptable looking moms need cheerleading too, I've decided to sit in the stands for both teams now. And I don't really know what that's going to look like. We have a listener named Linda, and she's forever trying to help other moms, even the ones who are down and out like I described. She's trying to help them to do better at mothering instead of standing back and judging and shaking her finger at them. I know that Linda would want to help Channel Mom reach out to this other group of mothers that I'm talking about. And maybe you would too. So I'm inviting you today to send us a message on Facebook.com/Channel Mom. Let us know how you feel about this. And if you know of a particular mom who could use a little cheering on, maybe she's somebody who everybody else is judging, but we should not overlook because maybe we could help her. Don't be shy about Facebooking us or even calling us about this issue. The lives of a mom and a child might just hang in the balance. So there it is. What do you think, Shell?
I think the other thing, too, is our hotline.
Yeah. We're gonna try to start that up very soon, and you'll see in the news why we need to do that. But we're trying to start something called Mom on Call because we feel like there are all kinds of moms out there who are struggling, and they end up hurting their children.
That's right.
Because they're too embarrassed or people are judging them, so no one's reaching out to help them. And, you know, I'm not talking about government handouts. I'm not talking about one more program that comes and paid for by the taxpayer. I'm just talking about us. I'm talking about us reaching out to those moms too, and
just being a friend.
Yep, and not just the pretty moms, you know, because the pretty moms are a little easier to help, and not that those moms aren't beautiful too, but you know what I'm saying. Not the ones that look just perfect all the time, you know, the ones that need a little help too. All righty, Dan, we are ready for the news.
If you're tired of the same old news,
what more do you want?
I want the truth.
You're hearing it. Strap yourselves in, folks.
never fear.
What's the dealio?
Part of life is learning to let things go.
We've got news moms can use.
What was that name again? I missed that.
News moms can use.
Okay, welcome to the news. We do pick our news based on what we think moms want to hear or maybe even need to hear. So we pick stories that you might not hear in other places because we want you to be able to listen to them. First of all, Shell, just on a lighter side, because so much of my stuff is heavy today, apparently Charlie Sheen did go on the Leno show and admit that he was out of control.
Really? Was he out of control when he admitted that he was out of control?
No, actually. And they said, the person that I heard another station doing this news, they were talking about, that really wasn't news to us, but it was interesting for him to admit it. So if you consider that news,
I wonder if he's done with all the other abusive things that he's doing.
Oh, yeah. I sure hope so for his sake. Alrighty, this story is heartbreaking. A report claiming that a boss went after a grieving mom in a shockingly insensitive manner. Reportedly, almost 2 years after her daughter Tatiana died, Cecilia Ingram was forced by her boss to remove photos of her daughter from her cubicle as well as Tatiana's ballet slippers. This story from Courthouse News Service. Ingram sued her workplace, Ortho, McNeil, Johnson & Johnson, and De Stefanis for discrimination, constructive discharge, and an intentional infliction of emotional stress. Allegedly, the boss told Ms. Ingram that several of her coworkers had complained about her tendency to talk about her daughter's death, which made them uncomfortable. And the court ruling states that he said she could no longer speak of her daughter because, quote, she is dead and she should act as if her daughter, quote, did not exist. Afterward, Ms. Ingram left work and did not come back, according to ABC News. A few days later, she came to a place where she had to have heart surgery for sudden heart palpitations, and soon after her recovery, Ingram resigned from the job and entered the lawsuit. The New Jersey courthouse ruled against this mother, however, saying that the defendant did not intentionally inflict emotional stress on Ingram. I can't imagine walking up to somebody and saying, I'm so sorry, but you have to remove your dead daughter's ballet slippers from your cubicle because it's offending people.
I have never heard of that. And how could you not talk about your dead daughter? I mean, that's just your life.
I know, I can barely get through this story without crying. My heart goes out to her. We're trying to get her on the show. Just, poor thing. Alrighty, this is a story that I have kept referring to on this show, but it is a story that keeps repeating itself, and it has alarmed me because it's happening to mothers all across America. Over the summer, I told you there were at least 5 reported cases of mothers killing their children, and this is a little bit sensitive story if you want to shoo your little ones away if they happen to be up. 2 more cases now, Shelley, just this week. We're up to 7 for the summer.
This is like epidemic.
It is epidemic. Out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, a young mother has been charged with murder. I don't want to go into the gruesome details, but right after she gave birth to twins, she suffocated them.
I saw that.
At least that's what she's being accused of, and I think
she admitted to it.
She admitted it. So I don't want to talk anymore about that one. And then in North Carolina, a stepmom has admitted to killing her 10-year-old disabled daughter as the daughter was recovering from cancer. The young freckle-faced girl, Zara Baker, had to use a prosthetic leg and hearing aids after a fight with bone cancer. And apparently, allegedly, her stepmom killed her. I do not enjoy reading these stories. I don't do it to make a big, fuss about it. Well, actually, I do it to make a fuss, but I'm not doing it to grab a bunch of attention. I really just tell them to you so you can see why we want to do things here at Channel Mom, like set up Mom on Call, to be there for moms. Now, I don't excuse this behavior. I do not, but I would love to prevent it. I would love to prevent it. So that's why Channel Mom is here. We are trying to start a mom revolution. Something's going on in America that moms don't feel like their job's important anymore. And in fact, they resent their job in some ways. Some moms, not all of them. And I want to be there to help them and help them get it straight, Alrighty, you are listening to the Channel Mom Show, where we are celebrating you on Mile High Sports Radio, AM F1510, FM 93.7. I am your host, Jenny Dean Schmidt. You can also watch us all during the week on channelmom.com or come Facebook with us, facebook.com/channelmom. Okay, do you have toxic people in your life? Maybe a toxic friend or two? Well, I've personally never been sure what to do about these friends, but Florence Isaacs knows what to do. Here to talk friendship and about eliminating the toxic ones. Up next, the author of Toxic Friends, True Friends. So get some help for your friendship issues.
What love really